Good morning, everybody. Thank you so much for joining. My name is Colin Lempert. I am the Western Region Sales Manager for Rath and Janice by Avire. Um, Today, we're going to be going over SmartView 2 and kind of from an inspector's perspective so that you understand the system, what the checkout procedures are, the code related to it. If you have any questions during this presentation, go ahead and go into the Q&A. Go ahead and ask your question, and then I will try to address it either in the moment or towards the end of the presentation. If you're not able to access the Q&A for whatever reason, I know Teams sometimes can be finicky with that. Just go ahead and pop something in the chat. And let's get started. So I'm going to share my screen, and if you guys could do me the favor, give me a thumbs up if you can see the screen once I share it. That would be fantastic. All right. And Mike, are we able to see the screen all good? All right, let's do it. Okay. So today we're going to be talking about SmartView 2. This is our new two-way video voice communication system. So in 2019, Rath came out with SmartView 1 as a response to the 2019 17 point or ASB 17.1 code. In those 5 years since we've launched it, we've learned a lot about the requirements for the system and made some pretty exciting upgrades to not only be 2019 compliant, but 2022 and onward as well, especially in relation to network security and building, privacy, safety. So today we're going to talk about why it's important. We're going to dig into the elevator code a little bit in relation to this video voice text component of 17.1. We'll do a overview of the system, what the hardware looks like, how it interacts with each other in a building, go over some of the security and safety enhancements, and then I'll briefly touch on the hub and some of the benefits that we have. That's what the dispatch uses, and then we'll wrap up going through the checkout procedures that come with the SmartView 2 device. So let's start with the first part of the elevator code, and this is relevant to elevators that don't even have video voice text. It's just basically stating that a push button needs to actuate the two-way communication means between between the entrapped passenger and dispatch. The push button shall be visible and permanently identified with the phone symbol, and this identification shall be on or adjacent to the phone push button. The communication means shall be initiated when the push button is activated. So with SmartView 2, the audio component and the visual component work separately. So if someone were to push the button and actuate a call, dispatch would still communicate with them as normal if the elevator didn't have a video voice system. It's when they are not able to establish that verbal communication, which is when they go into the SmartView hub to look into the elevator. So which leads into this next piece of code stating that on the same panel as the phone push button, a message shall be displayed that is activated by authorized personnel to acknowledge that communications are established. This message shall be permitted to be extinguished when necessary to display a new message. So when someone pushes the call button, our SmartView 2 screen will light up and send a message saying that you're making a communication to emergency personnel. That message will not change until they activate the camera via the SmartView hub. Once they click into that, then they can start adding messages, and that screen will change to reflect whatever message is being sent. Messages shall be displayed while permit authorized personnel to communicate with and obtain responses from a trapped passenger, including a passenger who cannot verbally communicate or cannot hear. And on the same panel as the phone push button, a message shall be displayed that is activated by authorized personnel to indicate when help is on the way. This message shall continue to be displayed until a new message is displayed or the communication is terminated. So to sum this up, the elevator needs a way to visually display messages that allow authorized personnel to communicate with people, including passengers who cannot verbally communicate or hear inside the elevator. This also applies to people who may be having a medical emergency. Um, and another added bonus that's not included in the code is false calls. If someone pushes the call button on accident and runs away, and it's not an actual entrapment, the dispatch has the secondary means to look into the elevator to make sure, okay, there's no one in there. We don't need to send a mechanic out. Um, The communication means shall provide on demand to authorized personnel information that identifies the building location and elevator number. These communications can only be disconnected when the authorized personnel terminates the call. And let's see, the communication means shall not use a handset in the car. The communication shall not be transmitted to an auto answering system. The call shall be answered by authorized personnel. And then lastly, a means to display video to observe passengers on any location on the car floor to authorize personnel for entrapment assessments shall be provided. Um, so to sum this up, the system needs to identify where the elevator is. That's done through, the automated message that gets pushed out when the call is being established with dispatch. Once connected, the call can only be terminated when the authorized personnel ends the call. That applies both for the audio and the visual portion of that communication. No handsets in the elevator car. Perfectly fine. We don't use handsets. We use phone boards and that display screen. And then you need a camera that can see the entirety of the elevator floor and provide a feed to authorized personnel. Now, I've heard of inspectors in some states standing in each corner of the elevator and having the dispatcher confirm that they're able to see a portion of their body. I've heard other states using an inanimate object, a smaller one like a paint bucket or a basketball, to establish that they can see all four corners. Basically, the way that we interpret the code is that you just need to be able to see someone from any corner of the elevator. Um, and so that doesn't really change too much from 2019 to 2022. But like I said, every state does it a little differently to make sure that the camera conforms with the line of sight. Now, in buildings with over 60 feet of rise, a permanent two-way communication means needs to be in-house in the building. Um, This means shall enable emergency personnel within the building to establish communication to each car individually. It needs to be established without any intentional delays and shall not require intervention by a person within the car. The means shall override voice communications to outside of the building. The communications, once established, shall be disconnected only when the emergency personnel outside the car terminates the call or time termination occurs. This time termination with the ability to extend the call by emergency personnel is permitted if voice notification is sent by the communication means to emergency personnel a minimum of 3 minutes after communication has been established. Upon notification, emergency personnel shall have the ability to extend the call. Automatic disconnection shall be permitted if the means to extend are not enacted within 20 seconds of the voice notification. So to sum this up, we have to be able to communicate verbally to each car with no requirement from the person in the car to do anything via this device. And you can only disconnect when the emergency personnel terminates the call. 2019 has a bit of a gray area when it comes to the location of this, we call them a command center. Um, in 2022, they revised this to have it in an FCC panel or FCC room, a security room, or if it is located in the main lobby, it's locked so that the roaming public aren't able to interact with it. So whenever an elevator company comes to me asking, hey, we need this because of this code, where do we put it? If they're not on 2022 code, I always push them, hey, talk with your inspector. Here's what 2019 code says. Here's what 2022 code says. But at the end of the day, you need to rock with whoever is going to be approving for that location. So we've done a lot of talk about code. Let's dig into the SmartView 2 system. We think of it as a platform more so than a piece of hardware. It's a unified system with two in-car form factor options and a machine room unit. We've consolidated the number of components from, I believe it was 7 to 4 or 3 with the SmartView 2 factor if you're using the all-in-one unit. So our all-in-one unit combines that visual display screen, phone board, camera, audio or speaker and mic into one component that's powered through one twisted pair through the traveling cable. So it's also a pretty small device. The screen's about 5 or 6 inches, so that allows for optimal room in the COP for these, elevator installers to put other systems in like security or a secondary display screen to do advertisements or what have you. Um, our new website is now login based to make sure that only authorized personnel can look into the elevators. We've enhanced the security, added capabilities through regular firmware updates that we can push through via the internet. And we're continuously training up different monitoring companies so that they're able to utilize our website and know what to do in case of an emergency when the SmartView device is installed in that elevator. So if we take a look at what this system looks like in a building, you have the in-car unit in the elevator that's powered by a single twisted pair to the machine room unit. Um, the machine room unit is where all the external house connections are housed, being the Cat5 for the building network that goes into there, and a phone line, a POTS line can go in there as well. We also have options for cellular gateways or VoIP capabilities. So that's always something as well. The great thing about the in-car unit is that we have LED lights to indicate any kind of faults. Um, each light is labeled with, power, is the power good? Internet, do we have strong internet connection? If so, the light will be green. Is the car phone or the phone line that's coming in good? If so, it'll be green. If not, it's red. So I have a demo unit that I travel around with. And that unit, because I don't have an active phone line connected to it, the only LED light out of all the options is the car in, or the car phone in, which is red, because I don't have it connected. Um, if there is a phone line that's not working and you press the call button, the SmartView 2 device will inform the person inside the elevator that there is no active phone line. So if a mechanic's coming through and doing his quarterly or monthly inspections, and he tests the phone, if there's an issue with the phone line, that device will tell the mechanic that there is an issue with that before he even gets into the elevator machine room. Each of these devices require 4 hours of battery backup required. So we have power supplies that come with the SmartView 2 device. These power supplies are also located in the machine room and allow a minimum of 4 hours of battery backup should the building lose power. In applications with 60 feet of rise or greater, we have a SmartView command center. So that is located in the bottom left side of the screen. This is more or less the same as a standard EMS5 or Smart Rescue phone center that we had previously. The main difference is we've integrated a touchscreen so that you can visually look into the elevators, have the capabilities to get onto the SmartView hub to look into the elevators should that verbal communication not be able to be established. That's connected to a distribution module and then sent up to each elevator in their machine room. The SmartView Command Center does require a building network connection, so they require a Cat5 or greater to connect. They can also use a cellular gateway if the building has any issues with connecting or running a cable to where the Smart Command Center is located. And towards the end, we'll go through kind of the checkout procedures and how we recommend you inspect these devices, including how to inspect the command center. So that'll be coming in a couple of slides. So this is the modular unit diagram. So the only big difference here is instead of having one twisted pair required for the system, you would need two, because our modular system takes all those components and has them separate. So you have the screen and camera are connected via one twisted pair, and then the phone board is connected for a secondary twisted pair. This option is great for elevators that, might be a little bit larger in scale or have an interesting COP application to where the integrated camera on the COP wouldn't be able to see all four corners. So we have corner mounted cameras available that work with this modular unit. So if a building has a freight elevator or an interesting applicator setup, the corner mount is a great option for that. Some more information on the command centers. So we can connect up to 116 elevator phones via one command center. So if you have a skyrise in downtown Denver or what have you that has 80 or to 100 elevators, if you have all the wires to connect, you can connect all the elevators to that one command center. This allows for offsite calling and intercom only flexibility, multi-line options. Like I mentioned in the previous slide, it has a built-in touchscreen to connect to the SmartView hub, and these are compatible with all Wrath and Janus style phones. Flush and surface mounts available. So if it's a mod project, we can, put it right on the wall, or if it's new construction, have something flush so it looks nice. So some of the security and safety changes that we've enhanced security and integrity measures to ensure data protection and system reliability. Some of that includes penetration testing. So we had people try and hack into the system to ensure that it is a safe and secure website. And we've also added two-factor authentication for our new user-based login. So the first time that any dispatcher or building owner would log into the SmartView Hub, they would have to do two-factor authentication. Once they're in, they are able to turn that off, but just as an added measure of security to make sure that only authorized personnel are using the website, we've added that. And then we have continuous firmware and software updates that are being sent out to make sure that our website and our systems are secure and running optimally. So that includes, data processing and minimizing the risk of errors or data corruption. And if there are any issues, we're very quick to address it and get those updates sent out. So I've talked a lot about the SmartView Hub. Here's a slide of what it looks like once you click into, if you choose an elevator unit, SmartView ID unit, hit play. This is what the dispatch is going to see. They're going to have a live stream of the elevator. And then on the right-hand side, they're going to have a text box and a chat history. They can have up to 10 preloaded messages. So that way they can, send the necessary messages in a quick and concise way. And then that chat history will log all the communication. The video aspect of it is not recorded. It's simply live streamed. That's for privacy purposes. So the camera will only work once the dispatch calls into it. That's when the camera will turn on. And then, like I said, we don't retain any of that video footage at all for a privacy and liability standpoint. When someone hits yes or no, or door open, door close, whatever the COP is wired to do, the passenger lift response will light up. So if it's yes, that gray box will light up green, and then in the chat history, it'll say whether it's yes or no, and it will retain that color, that green, and then for no, red. That way, not only do you see yes or no, but you have kind of a color visual to kind of keep you from getting confused on what the response was. So let's see here. So let's talk about the inspection procedures. So our SmartView 2 devices, when we send them out to our customers or through fixture companies, they come with an installation manual and checkout procedures that are to be kept in the elevator machine room. Should you guys require a copy of that, we can send it out to you, no problem. Yeah, if the elevator company needs it as well, we're more than happy to send PDF versions to them so that they have it ready to go, so that when you get on site to do inspections, you have that checkout list. And I know how it is making sure that proper documentation is in the machine room. So we want to help out as best as we can with that. So to test the SmartView 2 system, you would activate the the in-car button. So to activate, the process, you'd push the call button, verify that the call is answered within 45 seconds of the call, or whatever you as the AHG dictate is an appropriate amount of time to have the call answered or at least acknowledged. Um, this is to an alternate on or off-site location. Verify that initial communication is met. And then verify that the voice of the passenger and authorized personnel are audible and understandable in both directions. You would ask the authorized personnel to identify the elevator and building, verify that they are correct. So this sounds very familiar to what standard elevator phones procedures are, right? Press the call button, make sure it works, confirm that they have the right elevator and building address. Now, with the next part, ask the authorized personnel to verify that the feed is operational. Move to all four corners of the cab and verify you remain visible to authorized personnel. And then ask the authorized personnel to initiate a text message. Following the prompts, respond to the text messages with a yes or no. Verify that the subsequent text messages are received. And I would even take that a step further and make sure that both yes and no are working properly. Um, and then from a perspective with buildings with 60 feet of rise and that have a command center, we have procedures for that as well. Now, this may require an additional person because one person will need to be inside the elevator to confirm that that the communications from the command center are getting into the elevator and vice versa. So person one will locate the master station, whether that be in the lobby, FCC room, security desk. They would then call, or from the elevator, the person inside the elevator playing entrap passenger would hit the call button. Um, while the call is active, person one will activate the video voice text communication means from the location within the building using the handset of the SmartView command center to call in. That once that call is established, they will verify that the voice is audible and understandable in both directions. Then on the display of the SmartView command center, select desired elevator cab and verify camera feed. Person two shall move to all four corners of the cab. Person one will verify they remain visible to the SmartView command center, and then they will ask to send a text, yes and no. Person one will verify that the text message was received. And then last one, make corrections as needed, or more likely, make note for the elevator company to make corrections as needed. So here's kind of what the trap passenger would see. They can respond using yes or no or door open, door close button. These systems, SmartView 2 can be programmed to, if there is yes and no button, it says press yes or no. If they don't have yes or no buttons, it can be programmed to say door open if yes, door close if no. That way it minimizes some of the confusion. Some people don't like to add the extra buttons for the yes or no. So we made sure that we had options for that and flexibility with that. These screens, like I said, are relatively small. They are within compliance height of, ADA, which off the top of my head, I don't recall. I believe it's like 50 or 60 inches off the ground. The most important thing is being able to see all four corners of the floor. So that is our presentation on SmartView 2, kind of an overview of the system, the inspection process. Uh, Now would be a great time if you have any questions to add them in the chat or the Q&A. I'd be more than happy to help them for you. And afterwards, Mike and I will be sending out a copy of this presentation, video copy, as well as any supporting documentation that we may have mentioned today. All right, and I will give another minute or so if you guys have any questions to type those in. All right. I'm not seeing anything. So easy crowd. Um, Again, thank you so much for joining today. If you have any questions, you can email myself or our inside sales team if you have any questions about the SmartView 2 system or video voice text in general. Um, and like I said, Mike and I will be sending out follow-up emails with additional information. So if you don't have any questions, thank you for joining and have a great rest of your day. Thank you.